morning! My name is Jasmine, I'm an illustrator, and welcome to my channel. I haven't done a writing vlog since pretty much NaNoWriMo. I have a few big goals this month. What those goals are, I'm gonna go over them very briefly right after coffee. Kitty, you need to get down. You're not supposed to be there. It's 7 a.m. and it's still too dark. I need to have the light on. I'm obsessed with this thing. It only requires like a tiny little bit. So, I'm trying to figure out how to structure these writing vlogs. So I'm thinking of structuring them along with my goals. So that way, this also works as a not only measuring point, but it'll help me accomplish those goals because I can't finish the vlog until I meet them. So I think what we're going to do for this vlog is finish the tournament section of my medieval comic Girl Night. The tournament section is basically a big tournament that is occurring in the story. It's hard to... wait, it's not hard to, because I used Save the Cat a long time ago to structure the story. So I do know where the tournament is in the story. It's at the end of Act 3. It's a really big chunk because so many things happen at this tournament that it's taken me about 2 weeks right now to write all of it. So I wasn't expecting to take this long to write the tournament, but looking back at what I've written, it's a lot. So it does kind of make sense that it's taking longer than I thought. So what is the plan for today? We're gonna keep working on writing out the tournament. It's funny how some scenes take me longer than others, and I can tell that it's one, I already know what's going to happen, so it won't take me that long to write, and two, if there's too much dialogue, it seems to really slow me down because I think dialogue is one of my biggest challenges when it comes to writing. It's just not my forte. So whenever I have to write, so far from my experience writing Girl Night, every time I have either a tense interaction or an interaction with very different characters, I can't seem to write very smoothly. So it makes me nervous. I break out into a sweat. But at the end of the day, you just have to push through it and just get it done so that revision Jasmine can go back and do all the hard work. The other goal that I've had throughout the month has been to write 1,000 words every day. So I'm basically redoing NaNoWriMo this month. Like, who would have thought? I started this challenge on January 4th, so it's been 6 days. Out of those 6 days, I've not met that goal only 2 of those days. Let's keep doing that and see if we can finish this damn tournament section of the story. I was gonna vlog earlier in the week because I wanted to talk about this book. It's probably the most comprehensive and yet detailed explanation of everything that we know about tournaments, because from reading this I learned that we don't actually know that much about tournaments because they weren't recorded that much. They were so different depending on the reign, the country, the time period. So there's no one way to have done tournaments, and all of those different ways, we don't have too many details about how they were run, what they look like. We do have a few eyewitness testimonies of different tournaments, but it's just not enough information to really get a better sense of what things were like. So I finally recently finished this book, and it's awesome. It's gonna be a favorite in my bookshelf. I am not getting rid of it. The other book that I finished this week was The Last Duel. So if you're familiar with the recent movie that came out called The Last Duel, that movie is based on a true story. It is about a woman who is assaulted. What the husband of the woman does is he takes that to court. He challenged him to a judicial duel, which basically means it's a fight to the death, but also connected to a lawsuit. This book was really cool because it went into the details of the lives of these three people and just the intricate politics of not only the area, but their friendship together, and just a lot of drama. The author does a really good job of painting what the world was like in those days. Atmospherically, awesome. Details worthy for research, awesome as well. Was it dramatic? And like, I was losing my shit half the time because just, it read almost like a novel. Obviously, it was explained like a non-fiction book, but the story is so, it's just such a juicy story that it was a really good read. I gobbled this book up in a couple of days. And yes, they do fight to the death. Who wins? I don't want to ruin it for you, but if you are into medieval stuff and also just a very dramatic story, I would recommend picking this up. It's really, really good, and I'm going to keep it because look at these tabs. That's the other book I recently finished for research. Another keeper for the bookshelf. Did any of those things help with the tournament section? Yes. My mind right now is just in medieval tournament mode, which is exactly where I wanted to be. Now that I've explained to you what's been going on, what the plan is, this means we need to start writing again. We're gonna do a couple of writing sprints. We're gonna do a 15, you can't see that screen. I don't know why I keep doing that. We're gonna put a 15-minute timer and see how many words we can get. Okay, so that was the first sprint of the day, which was 15 minutes, and I wrote 270 words. Not bad, 270! I think yesterday was one of those days where I didn't write that much. I did sit at my desk for like 2 hours, but the work that I ended up doing was not writing. It was also because I was in a scene with the first bad guy. She's surprised to see him. So how do I write that scene? Like, I have it in my head, I just don't have the words that they exchange. I know emotionally what is supposed to transpire, it's the words, the actual words that they utter. The actual exchange, I'm baffled. Like, I don't know what exactly they say to each other. So I don't usually try to do this, but this was definitely a case of highlighting it and just putting conversation, and hopefully future Jasmine can think of a better conversation. It's a big deal of a scene, so I think I'm psyching myself out that it's so important that whatever I put down is just garbage. So as of yesterday evening, we skipped that, and this morning I continued on. So after that conversation, she just gets all screwed up from it. She gets just, her panic is triggered, and she has to run to the courtyard. And then from there, we have a really cute scene. So that's probably why this first sprint, I was able to get almost 300 words in 15 minutes. I know what's about to happen. A really cute scene. Priorities. You can tell what my priorities are. Where we're at on the actual tournament, it's a 2-day event, but there's so many scenes, and I'm going to show it to you right now. I've been using Aeon Timeline to keep a detailed outline with time. So I used Notion to do my initial outline. Hopefully you can't see that, but for spoilers. I use Notion for just a basic outline. Why? Because there's this neat thing where you can move around stuff. So I've had to rearrange a lot of these scenes, so having that feature is really useful. Now, when it comes to actual detailed outline, I've been using Aeon Timeline. And again, I'll try to blur this out so that there's no spoilers. But what's cool with Aeon Timeline, you can isolate the scenes by character. So here are the scenes with Alice or the scenes with Simon. You can also isolate by character arcs. So I've assigned some with Henry or Alice. You can also isolate with locations. I mean, you can just pick and choose whatever category and assign each scene to all of these different features. It's really, really cool. So I've been using it to sort of make sense of more complicated chunks of scenes. And in this case, the tournament, there's so many moving parts in this section of the story and so many side stories and emotional things that I really needed to organize further all of those scenes and try to make sense of how I'm going to tackle it. The last thing I want to point out is you can change the actual timeline. So I have the year 1415. I thought that was just so cool. Someone's hungry. And it's already breakfast time, so let's take a break, do all the things that we have to do this morning, and then get back to writing sprints because I left off on a really good scene and I'm dying to get back to it. I just looked at my old writing from this story of like 2 years ago and last year, and it's terrible. Granted, all these old things were written way before I started reading again. So officially, I read 105 books last year. 105, most of them novels. And I did that because I knew that I was not going to get better at writing if I wasn't reading. It's just so embarrassing to see all this old writing and see just how flawed it is. Just the language, it's terrible. It's both horrifying, yes, but also, I mean, it does show that I've improved a lot, that I can really see how it's not good. The other difference is that that was when I was writing Girl Night as a novel, and I was having a lot of issues trying to write it as a novel for a billion reasons that I don't want to bore you, but it wasn't working, which is why I switched it to a comic script, because so much of that story is visual for me, and I've already designed half of the characters. I'm familiar with more of the technical side of the Middle Ages world, like the architecture and the items that are used. So I did figure out through painful writing sessions that this really should be told as a comic. So it had to happen. I had to go through those growing pains. I get it. It's just to see them again, to reread this stuff. Poof, this is rough. I've done 2 30-minute writing sprints, and I'm still in that same scene. I'm slowing down on the writing. I can't seem to focus very much. Like, I write a couple lines and then my mind wanders to something else. I should either take a break or keep going at this painfully. How many words have I actually written? 377. That is nothing. I wrote almost all of that in 15 minutes this morning. This cute scene is not pulling me through this afternoon slump. So I think what we'll do is we're gonna do another 15-minute sprint. If that is a struggle, then I'm gonna switch gears and do other things that I need to do. So we'll see about that. That looks very dangerous. An hour later, I wrote 1,000 words. So I guess this means we keep going, but I am getting hungry, so I think I'll make some lunch and get back to this. Where we're at, the banquet is over. The banquet for the first day of the tournament is over. The cute scene is finished, and now we're in a tavern where something funny is supposed to happen. These are all scenes that I've been wanting to write for years, and it's cool to be there, but now I actually have to write the exact words that are uttered in that scene, and that's just a little harder because I'm just imagining it visually, and I know in the structure how important these scenes are, so that's a lot more fun than actually writing the dreaded dialogue, because as we've already covered, I suck at dialogue. That really is what makes me go really slow, but we're getting there. Like, if I can... Let me show you what my goals are. Okay, so I don't think these are spoilers, they're just locations. We're at the tournament. I put a goal that I need to finish the entire section of the tournament this week. Today is the 13th, so I have 3 more days to complete the tournament. So I do think I'm gonna meet that goal. It's 5 o'clock and I think I'm calling it done for at least right now. I might come back to this in a couple hours, but I've written 2,100 words so far today. Not bad. I finished the tavern scene, so now we're gonna go into another really cute scene, and then starting day 2 of the tournament. Now day 2 isn't gonna be as long as the first day, so I definitely think if I can keep going at this, I will be able to finish this section this week. So many times I'm in the middle of writing and I just think in horror that I could be writing garbage and I'm wasting my time. And then other times I think this isn't so bad. This could be something entertaining that could actually be something worthwhile, not only in my life, but just in general. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that. Just a constant struggle. Good morning! Jonathan and I are going for a quick run, and then I'm gonna make us some breakfast because he's gonna be working from home today, and I will continue to write. Yeah, just wanted to give a quick update. I will let you know how my writing went when we get back. o'clock, so I wanted to set up my mood board and then get back to writing. My cork board has been empty for a while. Usually I have Space Warriors reference art there because I was drawing pages for it, but because that's on hiatus until I can finish writing the entire story, the corkboard is empty. So because I'm focusing on Girl Night instead, let's put a new mood board with things that spark joy and also help me stay inside the story. And here we are. It's basically a mishmash of things that inspired the story. I have clippings from that Joan of Arc movie, The Messenger, and I have some panels from this one artist that I like for style-wise, because I haven't figured out the style for the comic yet. I think it might be somewhat sketchy like this, so I'll keep that just to remind me when I'm doing sketches of the story. I also have clippings from just the period for the vibes. This is pulled straight from my Pinterest board, as well as just constantly checking Pinterest. It's nice to have a physical corner here on my desk to just glance up while I'm writing. And now we can get back to writing. This morning I wrote 500 words, so let's see if we can go past 1,000 again. Because this is going to be a comic, I figured I should start already just doodling the visual ideas that I have about the story, like some of the framing or just the scenes. If I have an image, I should definitely draw it. And I did that a lot with Space Warriors because once I got around to drawing some of those pages, it would be like 2 years later, and sometimes I did kind of forget what the scene I had intended looked like. So I think what I should do here is to start doodling any scene that comes up in my head. I should follow that. We finished writing the scene in the tavern. I had this image at the end of that scene and I decided to draw it. So I think what I'll do is start sharing those drawings in my Ko-fi page, and I'll link it below. I'll be posting pretty much all of the drawings there. I'm thinking of also even sharing just snippets of the story there and anything that I might find inspiring in terms of stuff that I've read. If you're interested in seeing more of what I actually work on, consider supporting me on Ko-fi. Just for you to know, that's where I'm gonna put all of these drawings that you might see me doodle. Hello! It's Tuesday of the next week, which means I was not able to finish writing the tournament section of my story over the weekend. We're now kind of a day delayed. But not to fear, I am actually going to head out to my friend's place to do some writing over there. So I am hoping to knock these last 2 scenes out so I can finish this tournament and therefore finish this vlog. Unfortunately, I can't take you with me because that would be really awkward. I just wanted to just step in here and let you know that's what we're gonna do, and when I get back, we'll see how I did. Even though I haven't been writing enough over the weekend, I have been just mulling over it. Like, I already know the things I'm gonna have to revise when I do go over that section again as a second or first draft, whatever you want to call it, but I do have thoughts and I will let you know soon. We're back. It is 6 o'clock and we are still in the middle of the first scene. The first out of, I'm pretty sure it's just 2 scenes, but you never know once you're actually writing them if more scenes are needed. But basically, there's 2 fights that I need to write today to complete the tournament section of the story. So we're gonna work on that tonight. We're gonna finish those 2 sections so that we can officially not only just feel like we've accomplished something, but we can end this vlog. Okay, I finished the first duel. I just wanted to mention that yesterday I did try to write, but I got stuck in revision mode in trying to just read the last few passages to get myself warmed up to write. I just got caught up in editing, and I ended up adding 0 words yesterday, even though I did do writing, but unfortunately it was editing, so I deleted more words than I created new ones, so my total yesterday was 0. Which is weird, because it's like I know I wrote, but I have nothing to show for it. Kind of an issue right now of I need to stay focused on writing instead of revising. So to stop myself from going back to what I've written in the past and just editing, I'm starting to make a list of things that I need to go back and add. And those things are like things that need to be mentioned in conversation, where I think back on things and it's like, well, why did the Duke not mention this? How come they haven't brought up this thing or that thing? Or there should probably be a conversation between Alice and Guichard or whatever. You obviously don't know who I'm talking about, but I'm thinking about how they've never had a conversation. They probably should have one big meeting, and it's supposed to be a big deal, and it's like incredible that I haven't added that meetup because I frankly just don't want to write it. Part of it is just the dialogue aspect of it. I don't know how to word the things that they have to mention to each other. So I think that's going to be just something future Jasmine's going to have to deal with in adding that. But luckily, when I was making this list today of things that I know I need to go back and fix, I did figure out when to put that conversation in. So I won't write it anytime soon, but I at least know the order where it should go. And I get to add this tiny scene about just tournaments in general that I was afraid I wouldn't be able to show because it didn't have anything to do with the story. So that's also like something I know I need to be careful in, where my historical nerd wants to add in all these details that I know are really cool to show, but if they don't serve any purpose in the story, they really shouldn't be included there. So it's nice to know that I was able to figure something out and still interject some of that historical fact stuff that I wanted to interject. So that's kind of what I've been dealing with for the past couple of days, and that's why I think I'm a little bit delayed on getting this section done, and that's because I'm doing the things that I'm not supposed to be doing right now, even though it's still considered writing. The other thing that I'm concerned about this whole tournament section is that if and when I get to show this to an editor, I definitely think that they're going to say that this section is too long. A lot of the scenes, I'm going to have to figure out how to combine them. I think it becomes a little repetitive between the main character Alice having her duels at the tournament and the rest of the knights having their jousts. Those things have to serve a purpose in the story. It can't just be, well, it seems cool that we see them do that. No, it really does have to serve a purpose. So I know in the back of my head when I'm writing this stuff is like, I'm probably gonna go back and maybe even delete it, even though I think as a reader, I would like to see these knights joust in a real tournament at least once. But unfortunately, if it doesn't push the plot forward, then I'm going to have to find a creative way of hinting that they've jousted without actually spending pages on the action. I'm not sure. I'm kind of on the fence on that, and that'll have to be a discussion to be done with an editor sometime in the future. Right now, the key is to just put it all down. With the first duel done, we need to move on to the last duel. And this one is really, really important to the story. It's going to be the end of Act 2. It's kind of like the culmination of everything we have built in the story. It is really important, and I'm worried that I just won't be able to finish it today. It's 7 o'clock. I have to work super early tomorrow in my day job, so I just don't know if I have the mental capacity to write such an important scene. Hello! It is the next day. I finished my day job work today, and that means that we can continue writing so that hopefully we can finish the tournament section. There's really nothing much else to say. I've already blabbed on enough about it. Time to just write. It's been over an hour and I've only written 100 words. This is gonna be really hard. It's the end of Act 2. It's a really big deal. So I'm questioning literally every word I'm putting down. Of course, this is a script, so the words themselves don't really matter unless it's dialogue, but I'm struggling with the framing of the scene. Like, this last duel is going to pivot the entire story, so it's super important, and I am struggling on how to approach it. Where are we exactly? We just got the news that Alice has to do this duel. Now, how do I start that? Do we start it in the tent where she's changing? I've already started a bunch of her previous fights in the tent, so maybe it's good to have that repetition, but also it is really repetitive. I'm not sure if we need to just switch things up. So if I'm never sure, then the question is what needs to happen in the story. Like, stick to the story. Yeah. Talking to you, I think we do need to add a moment in the tent because it is such an important fight. She's emotionally, like, really discombobulated by this, so we need to show that to set up the tension in the fight, I guess. So I think it would be helpful to just have a moment to recognize that Alice is really freaked out before the duel. Instead of her just jumping into the duel, I think we'd be skipping an opportunity to build tension. See? Talking to you really helps, but now I have to write it.
See who you hang with, don't let's just say they're not about you, don't know your place. I'll be on my way out, you're in my way.
I wrote 20 words. In cooking this, I did have an idea that, yes, we should have a moment of her sort of letting it sink in before the duel, but can't be for too long because something's supposed to happen during the duel. I had another thought while I was cooking, is that I think my hesitation is more of the revising brain talking, and I should not be revising the words I have not even written yet. Yeah, so maybe having a moment like that before the duel will be unnecessary or repetitive, but right now, that's not where we should be thinking. We should just be writing, right? So I'm honestly just overthinking this again, and I should just write it out. Get it all out and have a clearer head once I do go back to this scene in revision mode. Feel a little bit better reminding myself about that. I'm gonna put a video on, eat this ramen, and truly get back to work, and hopefully you can keep me accountable. I think it's been another hour since the last time I talked. Still in the middle of the fight. God, this is taking so long. In total, today I've written 600 words. But I've been sitting here for probably 4 hours. We're just gonna keep pushing through. This is definitely the part where a personal project, it's so easy to just keep pushing it off into another day and then another day. My New Year's resolution was to take this very seriously like a job. And like a real job, if there was a deadline tomorrow, I would stay up all night
to work on it because I practically never miss deadlines for real job stuff. So if we're taking this as a real job, we are not going to leave and go to bed until this scene is done. It's done. It's 9 o'clock. We are finished with Act 2. We can finally finish this vlog and move on to the next goal, which is we're going to Paris. The word count for today is 1,611 words. It was a big scene. As I was writing it, I realized more and more, like, wow, it makes sense why this is taking so long. Honestly, it's just gonna keep getting harder and harder because we're gonna get closer to the end of the story and much more epic stuff is gonna happen, so this was just a taste of it, but we're gonna keep moving forward. So if you've made it to the end, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we move on to Act 3. Bye bye now. Good night.